Thank you all for joining us today to talk about Maryland's poultry industry and to learn more about high-path avian influenza and how you can expect to receive information should we have an outbreak here in Maryland. My name is Julie Oberg. I'm the Communications Director for the Maryland Department of Agriculture. And in the room here with us today, we also have Agriculture Secretary Joe Bartenfelder and our State Veterinarian, Dr. Michael Radebaugh. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
It sounds like there may be some folks on the line who have not muted their line, so if you could please mute your line, I would greatly appreciate it. If you logged on to the GoToMeeting website, you should be able to see our PowerPoint presentation. If you cannot, you can also follow along with the presentation. It's posted on MDA's Bird Flu Press Kit, which is accessible through the of our website. We're going to have an opportunity to take your questions at the end of this presentation, which will last about 15 minutes. And if you have questions as we go along, please feel free to type them into the chat box, and we'll make sure that we answer those at the end. I'm just going to mention one more time, if you could please mute your line, we'd appreciate it. It sounds like there's some wind or some extra noise in the background. Thank you. So to get us started here today, I'd like to introduce our Maryland Agriculture Secretary, Joe Bartenfelder.
Hi, thank you for joining us today. We believe that the high-path avian influenza could arrive in Maryland by this spring at the latest. And if it does, it could be devastating to the poultry industry, our largest ag sector. Bird flu could show up anywhere in a flock out west, a poultry house on the eastern shore, or backyard flocks anywhere in the state. For the last year, we've been urging all flock owners and managers to take this disease as seriously and practice enhanced biosecurity at all times. We appreciate the attention you as members of the media have already provided to bird flu, and we need your continued coverage. The purpose of this call is to let you know how we will be handling communications in the case of an outbreak. If this disease hits Maryland, farms will be quarantined and farm access will be restricted for biosecurity purposes. That will not be done for secrecy or for lack of transparency. It will be done for biosecurity to prevent the disease from spreading. We believe it's important for you to all know that up front. If there is an outbreak in Maryland, all official communications will be coming from MDA. It's in our best interest to get your current information as quickly as we can to release to you as much information as we can. We need you to be part of the solution, not part of the problem in spreading the virus. Julie will now talk to you about how we will get that information to you. Julie?
All right, thank you, Mr. Secretary. I'll start off with a few basics. There are types of avian influenza, also known as bird flu, low path and high path. The last bird flu in Maryland was in 2004 in a commercial turkey farm near Frederick that had 21,000 birds. Prior to that was an incident in 2004 that affected one commercial farm near Pocomoke City and 2 farms in Delaware. 192,000 birds were depopulated as a result. High-path avian influenza is a much more aggressive disease that we're facing now. Highly pathogenic avian influenza is an extremely contagious, deadly disease that will kill 95% of a poultry flock in just a few days. There have only been 3 high-path outbreaks prior to this in U.S. history. There's no evidence that this strain causes sickness in people or that it impacts food safety, but it is potentially catastrophic to thousands of Maryland farmers and to the Eastern Shore economy. We believe we are as prepared as we can be, considering we don't know what type of facility or when or where in the state it might hit. Over the past year, the Maryland Department of Agriculture has done considerable outreach to all growers through direct mail, social media, cereals and feed stores, and other means. So as the poultry companies, Delmarva Poultry Industry, and the University of Maryland Extension. We've also issued several messages to reach the general public. We've been in close coordination with the Maryland Emergency Management Agency, participated in several tabletop exercises that actually go through actual scenarios, And our animal health staff has also been meeting with all the local emergency operation centers as well. We have a declaration of emergency ready for the governor's signature, which will help us to secure more support. Our animal health diagnostic labs are internationally accredited, and they test every flock before it goes to slaughter. USDA's regional veterinarian has told our animal health staff that we are, quote-unquote, light years ahead of the states in the Midwest who had no warning or time to prepare. So how are we going to know if high-path bird flu is here? We're not going to get any advance warning. There's an ongoing surveillance testing in the wild bird populations in addition to our pre-slaughter tests. Our animal health inspectors follow up on every report of sick birds. If our lab does get a positive test, we will start acting immediately to contain and stamp out the disease so it doesn't spread. At the same time, we'll send a sample to a national lab for the official confirmation of the disease. High-path avian influenza is a federally reportable disease, and announcements must follow protocols. When the virus arrives here, the first case of high-path avian influenza must be announced by USDA due to trade concerns. Some markets will immediately stop importing chicken from our state. Very shortly after that, the Maryland Department of Agriculture will issue our own news release. The Department of Agriculture, as the Secretary mentioned, will be the lead agency for all announcements related to high-path avian influenza after that initial announcement. We will be working in close coordination with the Governor's Office and other partners. If 2 or more farms are impacted, we will be activating a joint information center. When high-path avian influenza is confirmed, the state will work with USDA to execute an existing response plan. The 6 basic steps of that plan are to quarantine. You can see this on your screen. It'll be to quarantine, eradicate, which means depopulate the affected flock within 24 hours. We will then be monitoring the region to test wild and domestic birds in a broad area around the quarantine area. We'll disinfect to kill the virus in the affected flock location, and then test to confirm that the poultry farm is AI virus-free. USDA also is working with partners to actively look and test the disease in commercial poultry operations, live bird markets, and in migratory wild bird populations. Once that all clears, then a new flock would be permitted on that affected farm to repopulate. If only one farm were to have high-path avian influenza and everything else went according to protocol with no major glitches, the whole process would take about 60 to 70 days. That's at least 2 months that the farm will be out of business. Some incidents can take up to 4 months for a farm to be cleared for restocking. MDA believes it can handle an outbreak on one farm without any outside assistance. More than that, we will definitely need some help from MEMA and other state agencies. We will not be releasing the name of an affected farm, and we'll be limiting access to the farm so we don't spread the disease. USDA treats this as confidential information under the Federal Privacy Act. So does the Maryland Department of Agriculture. We do have a communications infrastructure in place now, so we are ready if an outbreak occurs here in Maryland. So far, we've established an avian flu webpage that has background information so that you can learn more about the disease, a bird flu blog, which will provide updated information as necessary about specific incidents. This will include updates that aren't necessarily big enough for a press release, but will provide the most current information on the incident. We have a dedicated Twitter feed, which is @MDBirdFlu, to complement our main Twitter feed, which is @MDAgDEPT, and an online press kit for bird flu. We are continuing to build out this page and plan to add more photos, videos, and B-roll that we believe will be helpful to the media. Depending on how big the situation becomes and how many farms are involved, we may not be able to answer all phone calls in a timely manner, so we are strongly encouraging you to use these resources. Our goals are to provide you with accurate, timely, consistent information, to minimize public panic and fear, and to address rumors, inaccuracy, and misperceptions as quickly as possible. Now I'd like to introduce Dr. Michael Radebaugh, our state veterinarian, who can provide you with some additional information.
Good morning. Thank you, Julie. I think Julie has talked about the how we've been preparing and planning over the last 12 months. I would like to talk about why we have been preparing for high-path AI. here's some background information for you. The first slide, it shows you in the darkened areas on the slide where the incident occurred in our United States last year. The number of farms that were involved, 223, was 49 million birds that were either died or were depopulated from this. It cost the U.S. $1 billion to control and eradicate this disease, and there was another $1 billion that was lost in exports, and with the indirect and induced cost from this disease was over $1.5 billion. So this was definitely the most expensive agriculture disaster in U.S. history. Wild waterfowl are the birds that are carrying the spread of the disease, but they do not show any of the symptoms. The virus is excreted in their saliva and feces. Domestic birds mingling with waterfowl are at high risk of becoming infected. High-path bird flu is coming our way. It was first found in the U.S. in the Pacific Northwest and has been moving east through each of the flyways. As was mentioned, it's spread by migratory waterfowl, which gather in Canada, where they commingle in the breeding areas and spread the disease without showing any signs or illness. These birds then migrate south. We're in the fall migration right now. The Atlantic flyway is the only flyway in the world that has not shown this deadly disease now. We have to expect to find it in Maryland either now or in the spring. The virus is transmitted through direct exposure to infected birds, feces, or secretions. The disease can be carried on clothing, equipment, and vehicles, and it doesn't take a lot of this fecal material, infected fecal material from waterfowl to cause an infection. It has been shown that just a gram of this fecal material, which could be placed on the top of a dime, could infect 1 billion chicken and turkeys. So it's a very contagious, virulent virus that we're very concerned about it, how it could spread, and that's why, like the Secretary was saying, we're really concerned, and we're working hard to get people to understand about biosecurity and do biosecurity. There's no vaccine for this particular the strain of this virus. So as mentioned, the only prevention is enhanced biosecurity, which means disinfecting, cleaning areas and items potentially exposed to the virus and limiting farm access. This slide has a lot of information on it, but I just want to give you an idea of the importance of poultry industry to Maryland. Poultry is Maryland's largest ag sector and accounts for 41% of all farm cash receipts. On any given day, there are approximately 100 to 120 million birds on the Delmarva Eastern Shore. This region is the highest concentration of meat chickens in U.S. and possibly in the world. This industry accounts for almost 281,000 jobs and an economic impact of $5.6 billion to the Delmarva Peninsula. As been seen or told, we are definitely known for our broilers and meat birds, but Maryland has a diverse poultry industry. Besides encompassing both the broilers, but we have a good, robust turkey and egg-laying industry. And there are more than 2,000 farms in Maryland that have poultry on them, and that doesn't even include the 5,000 backyard flocks registered with our Department of Agriculture that are continuing to grow in popularity. The poultry industry is definitely the economic driver on the Eastern Shore. There are 5 companies that operate 6 hatcheries, 4 feed mills, 3 processing plants, grain buying operations, administrative offices, truck drivers, and more, employing thousands of people. Chicken farms are run by families who own the land, the chicken houses, and equipment, and provide daily management of the birds. Let Julie finish from here. Thank you.
So as you've heard, in a nutshell, there's potentially a catastrophe that's coming our way, and we're making sure that we're doing our best to be as prepared as we possibly can to handle it. So at this point, that wraps up our presentation, and we are happy to take any questions that you have at this time, either for me or for the secretary or for our state vet. It doesn't look like there's any questions in the chat room at this time, but okay. If you have any questions, feel free to type them into the chat box.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, this is Tyler with WBSC. I'm stuck in the car at the moment. This slideshow that you all have been looking at, where can I find that again?
Sure. If you go to our website, I can email it to you, but right now, if you'd like to look at it, it's on our website. If you go to the home page on the left-hand side, click on Newsroom, and then from there, on the left-hand side, you should be able to see something to the effect of bird flu press kit.
Okay.
And the presentation is there.
Right now. Fantastic. Thank you. That's all I had.
Okay. And if there's anyone else who's on the phone that would like to ask a question, we're happy to take questions that you have at this time.
Hello, this is Josh Bollinger with the Star Democrat.
Hey, Josh.
My question was, is there like a specific time of year that the flocks here are more susceptible to catching the avian bird flu?
Yes, Josh, it's just like human flu. This virus likes it in the cool weather, and also the waterfowl that are coming down this fall are the carriers. So this time of year, and then of course it'll still be cool, and birds will commingle down here that could potentially have the virus. And as they head north in the spring, that's another time that we could see the virus spreading to our chickens and turkeys.
Thank you.
I had a question.
Okay, who's this?
Jonathan Cribbs at the Delmarva Farmer.
Thank you, Jonathan. Go ahead.
I was wondering, is there any particular reason that we haven't seen it so far? I know I've heard people speculate that the abnormally warm fall and early winter might have had something to do with that. I was wondering if anyone had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, Jonathan, first of all, it has been warm, and that is definitely can help kill the virus. But also, a lot of the waterfowl, because of the warm weather, have not come down so far this fall. They're being kind of up, just staging up in the northern states. But I think now with the colder weather coming in, we'll start seeing them come into our area. So we're still not out of danger for sure.
Any other questions?
Hey, one more time. Just did a little thing on it, and I thought the last detected thing was back in June. So is this like sort of a 50-50 shot that this thing's going to resurface, or if it just kind of gets out there, we just don't know where it is, and it will pop up somewhere at some point?
You know, USDA Wildlife, in conjunction with all the state natural resources, had been doing surveillance of wild waterfowl, and they have not found it in our country as of yet. They've done over 20,000 different samples of wild waterfowl. They're now in the process of doing hunter kills and down in our states. Still around, right? This particular strain in poultry farm. It's out there, and we can't rest on our laurels.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing no other further questions, I just want to thank you all for participating in this call today. And I also want to let you know that we've been recording the discussion, and we will be posting the presentation along with the audio on our website through that online, the Bird Flu Online Press Kit, hopefully later this afternoon. So if there's any other folks that would like to